In order to pull a fret out, you're going to need a soldering iron and some solder in order to heat up that fret to get it to come loose, and then you're going to need to pull it with these nippers. Now you're going to have to modify these as they don't typically come flat, so I'll show you how to do that. So this is a pair of end nippers, and they're typically going to come with a beveled edge going in this way. And in order to pull a fret out, you need this to be flat up against the fingerboard so that it can get underneath the very bottom edge of the fret. So you're going to need to grind this flat. And then once you have that flat, you're going to need to create a slight angle going this way so that it actually goes underneath and pulls it up. So it's going to be a slight beveled edge this way and flat this way. Now, fastest way to do this is with a wheel grinder. Next fastest, using an angle grinder, then a Dremel, or by hand with a file like this. Now this will take a while, but you can do it. So a bench grinder is really the best tool for this, but if you only have an angle grinder, you can use that. Just make sure it's clamped really tightly with 2 clamps to whatever you're using. And then you're just going to grind this flat. So this can take some time, and you want to stop and make sure that you're checking it so you're not going too far, because if you do go too far, then you can create a gap in between the teeth, and you really don't want that. So stop and check regularly. So I've grinded it relatively flat here. You want to make it so that bevel disappears, so that way you can get flat up against the fingerboard, and then I'll just fix up any little bumps or inconsistencies with my file here. And you want to make sure that you're not just coming at the middle. You want to make sure that you're coming at it this way, because you don't want this end to be any higher than the middle. The middle has to be as close as possible to getting underneath the fret. And you want to grind it down until all those little bumps are gone. So the next step is going to be sharpening up the edge here. So being careful not to touch this side. And you can do this with a Dremel, but it doesn't actually take much, and you can get more precision with a file. I just want to run this along here without putting any pressure on it, without rocking it. Because as soon as you rock it at all, it's going to hit that edge and make it not straight. So then when you start to get very close, then you can do some strip sanding to get that real tight. So you're just lightly pressing down on this, and because if you press too hard, you can't move it. And then pulling, so you don't want to pull down this way, because that'll put a notch right there. You want to pull up. And just light enough so that you can pull it, and there's some friction, using 220 here. And that'll tighten up any gaps in there. And just keep going until that gap is completely gone. Just use your eye and your feel. It should feel nice and smooth there. You shouldn't really feel the gap, and it should be a nice even consistency between here and here. It shouldn't have any gaps. That'll make sure you have even pressure along the fret.